All right, cool. Let's talk about what's going on there. The first part of that is two sets of 6-note groupings, and the second part as well is two sets of 6-note groupings. What sets those apart is the first part interacts as single strokes on the floor tom with one snare thrown in there with the bass drum. The second half of that, the third and fourth group of 6, walk around the toms with the snare drum doing simply a 6-stroke roll. Okay, there's no interaction with the kick on the second half of that. Now, of course, you absolutely could, and you could modify and change the orchestration and just focus on the sticking, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, so the first set really walks through this interaction between the floor tom and the kick drum, like I said, with that one snare drum thrown in. So to start this off, you're going to play kick, right, left. Again, kick on the bass drum, right, left on the floor tom. We're going to follow that up with double stroke kick. Kick, kick, and we're going to play 4 single strokes. We're going to go to the floor tom, the one snare drum we'll have at that beginning section, back to the floor tom for those second groupings of rights and lefts. So again, kick, right, left, 2 kicks, right, left in the snare, back to the floor tom for those other 2 rights, followed by one last time, kick, right, left. And that sounds like this slowly. The best way to really view this is to look at that as 3 individual sections or pieces. The very beginning plays kick, right, left, and the last part of it plays kick, right, left. The middle is where you get those 2 kicks, and we're going to play right on the floor, left on the snare, and then right, left, back to the floor tom. Okay? And if you're good at math, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade math, we're looking at 2 groupings of 6 or 12 full notes. We start with 3 notes, kick, right, left. We play 6 notes grouping, right, left, after those 2 kicks. Here's your 6. And then we end with kick, right, left. So this is basically structuring a very simple mathematic process, and there's only 2 patterns within all of that. That's a lot for kick, right, left, kick, kick, right, left, kick, right, left. All right? The second part of this is your 6-stroke roll. For those who are not familiar with a 6-stroke roll, that is single stroke, in this case, right, 2 sets of double strokes, left, left, right, followed by a single stroke left. So right, left, right, left. And then we're going to do that kind of dancing around with the toms and the snare. There'll be no kick in that, okay? So this is group 3 and group 4, both a 6-stroke roll. All right, so we start this off pretty simple. Our left hand will stay on the snare drum, and our right hand starts on the floor tom, so we play the single stroke on the floor tom. We have our double stroke on the snare. Then we have our double stroke on the rack, and then the single stroke on the snare. Slower. Okay. There's our 6-stroke roll. The second 6-stroke roll for the very last section of this whole thing, this whole last group of 6, we're going to do snare drum, our single stroke. We're going to play our double strokes left on the rack, right on the floor, back to a single stroke with our left hand on snare. So really just working our way around the world. Real slow. Okay, so together we're playing 2 sets of 6-stroke rolls at the end of this. All right, all of that together, you could think of this in 2 halves, 2 sections, right? The first half is all of that dance between the kick and your single strokes using one of those snare hits, otherwise focus on the floor tom. And then the second half of that is simply working through the toms with the snare. The first time it's kind of like tom, snare, up here, rack, tom, snare, and then right, starting with snare and working your way around the world. All right, so let's look at that whole thing slowly. I'm going to call out 1, 2, 3, and 4 to represent each of the sections. Now, what's really weird, and that may even throw you off, I can even back off on that, we can think about it as the first 3, then that group of 6, and then the group of 3 that repeats, the phrase, and then we could talk about that 6-stroke roll and call it like that. All right, so let's kind of look at in that manner to make it a little bit easier. So here's your first group, and then the second group, third group that repeats like the first group, and now your 6-stroke roll with your second 6-stroke roll. Let's do that again a little bit slower. Again, same manner. Your first group of 3, kick, right, left. Now your second group with your 2 kicks. That's 6 strokes long. Followed with your third group. Is that repeating? And then your 6-stroke roll. And then followed around the kit with that last 6-stroke roll. All right? All right, and that's really it. I mean, that's the groove itself. Again, it's really easy to think about this in pieces. It helps you mentally get through it until you've built up that muscle memory and you can start to go through faster. I know it seems like a pretty intense fill, but if you really go slowly and think of it again in these little chunked out sections, what's cool is you get a repeating sticking, and even in the very beginning, that group of 3, after, again, that 6 grouping, you kind of get that same repeated, the kick, right, left, kick, right, left. Just look for those pieces, and this is a really useful skill that'll help you anytime you're trying to learn any types of things. As you seek out patterns and you seek things that are already comfortable and that you kind of have the flow and the muscle memory for, it makes learning larger pieces a lot easier. All right? There it is. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time with more cool fills and drum grooves. Woo!